So I want to listen to what Richard Sherman had to say on the altercation yesterday between Deebo Samuel and 49ers long snapper Taybor Pepper. And here it is on the Richard Sherman podcast. He gives his thoughts on this entire situation. Here we go.
Let's talk about the kicking game because we talked about it off air. The San Francisco 49ers spent a third-round pick on Jake Moody, and he struggled. Richard, what are your thoughts about this kicker right now? We saw Deebo get into it with Taybor Pepper, the long snapper. What are your thoughts about Jake Moody? Because this looks like a consistent problem in San Francisco.
Yeah, it's frustrating. Before the injury, I think he was 14 or 15. Looked pretty good. Looked like he was putting away all the doubt that people had, all the concerns. But then you come back from the injury after the two kickers that replaced you pretty much were flawless. On PATs and field goals, if I'm not mistaken, pretty much made every kick. And then you come back in a game like this, and people, have some sympathy for you. You miss one kick, you're like, hey, the rust. Then you miss two kicks, you're like, all right now. And then the third kick, you start to have a lot of questions, and you start to see the frustration from both players and fans. And when Deebo Samuel goes up to him and says, lock in, and apparently that's what he said. That's what Taybor Pepper said he said. You don't defend him from that. You don't get to defend him from accountability from the team. When if I give up a touchdown pass and one of my fellow teammates come on like, hey, come on now, lock in now. Somebody's not going to come in and save me. Like, you got to be tough. This is the National Football League. You make a mistake, you are held accountable, just like everybody else. It does not mean because I'm a specialist and they're a different case and this, that, and the third. No, there's accountability. Do your job.
All right, so first off here, I feel like there's not a problem of Deebo Samuel telling someone to lock in. Now, if the roles had been switched and, Jake Moody walked up to Deebo after he made a mistake and said lock in, I don't feel like Deebo Samuel would react really well to a kicker telling him that. But I think the issue I have here is, Deebo Samuel sort of taking a swing at the guy, at Pepper, and, sort of grabbing his neck, basically. I mean, that's just really uncalled for. And Deebo did say after the game, quote, normally I don't even get like that, but just frustrated in the heat of battle. Really close game, and I kind of got out of character a little bit, but I'll talk to Moody, and we'll get past it. So, I feel like if you can, keep it civil, don't, start taking swings or, grabbing your teammates' necks. I think it's typically a reasonable assumption that, guys can, not do things like that.
And that's what Deebo Samuel was coming to say. Like, this is a high-level football team. This is a team that's been to Super Bowls. There's a standard of play. And to miss 3 field goals after all the work that goes into those drives and to get the ball down the field, and these were long, long drives, and unfortunately the San Francisco 49ers are not converting at a high rate in the red zone this year, so they are settling for a lot more field goals than usual. You got to make the kicks. This game should not have been this close, and it's coming down to the final kick because of missed kicks. And so I'm totally with Deebo here. There are better ways to handle it, and I understand kind of what Taybor is doing, trying to defend his guy, but you cannot defend people from accountability. I don't care. Not in this game. You can defend from people going overboard or cursing him out or saying you suck or something like that. Then shield him from that. But if he's telling him to lock in, get out of his way and let him tell him. Let him look the man in his eye and tell him lock in.
But I think when you look at Jake Moody, the fact that he was 13 for 14 before injuring himself and then missing the kicks in this past game, I think that you have to give a guy a little bit of leeway when he's coming off a high ankle sprain, and he'd been really great until this point, and then he misses a few field goals. Obviously, it was a terrible performance. You can't have that as a kicker. But if this were to continue happening, then I say, okay, maybe you try to make a move here. But after one game where a guy's coming off an injury that he's been dealing with for a few weeks, I think you got to give the guy, some more, chances here. He was 24th in the NFL last season at 81.8% field goal percentage. But if he comes out, next week and the next few weeks and keeps, playing like he did early in the year, then you don't have a problem. I think that sometimes kickers have bad days, and if they continue and it's, sort of gotten into their head, then maybe you have to make some kind of move there. But I don't think it's the end of the world. It's obviously bad for one game. If it continues, I think you decide if you want to make a move there. And when you spend a third-round pick on a kicker, I think that's risky for a specialist. But that's pretty much all I wanted to share. If you guys want more 49ers content, feel free to subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.